I don't know how to break this to you though, but these are fake, bro.
Dude,
The glass skull is fake.
Dude, I got it from Amazon.com. Okay, it's guaranteed. It's legit.
What are the worst?
You get it from
the
Peru.
worst conspiracy theories ever? Crystal skull
That's
or
one,
Bigfoot?
Oh no, Bigfoot's not a bad one, man. You know, there's an Animal Channel show right now. It's called Finding Bigfoot or something like that on the Animal Planet or Animal Channel.
Yeah, I've seen the commercials.
Because of one video.
I was in Spokane this past weekend, and as we're landing in the Spokane airport, you know, you're looking at all like the forest and the pine trees, and you know, I started thinking about Sasquatch. I'm gonna ask the guys at my seminar what they think, you know. Right. So in the beginning of the seminar, I go, by show of hands, who believes in Sasquatch?
This is the kind of jiu-jitsu school that Eddie's running. This is how he starts off his fucking seminar.
I wanted to know this.
Sure.
Nobody raised their hand. So I'm like, shit, none of you guys believe in Sasquatches? Holy shit. So I'm thinking right there, okay, if these people live here in Spokane, small city, in the woods, if they don't believe it, then a couple guys start going, well, you know, you never know because of this and because of that. And I go, wait a minute. So you're saying you kind of believe it. And I go, okay. By show of hands, who thinks that maybe they exist? They all raise their hands.
Whoa.
I go, really? They just didn't want to raise their hands initially because they didn't want, you know, they were probably ridiculed in school.
Well, here's some
believe in Bigfoot?
Here's some weird facts. First of all, there's 250 different Native American names for Sasquatch. 250 different names for this big, hairy man that lives in the woods. And the primary, the big, predominant, you know, group of sightings is in the Pacific Northwest.
Do you think if they had the internet back then, it would only be one name, right? Yeah. You know, it's just 250 people talked about it, and they all made up their own name.
Well, no, they had a bunch of different languages too.
I like Sasquatch the best.
That's the Indian name, right? Sasquatch.
I like Henry.
Yeah, well, the reason why it's interesting is because so many different names exist for it. Because there's no other mythical creatures in the Native American I don't think they have like a mythology that has like, maybe different Indians do, and some of them do and some don't, but for the most part I don't think it's like, you know, the Greeks had all these fake gods and all these different, you know, griffins and all these different things that they had created. There was obviously a lot of fiction going on. I don't think there's that much fiction in the Native American folklore. So when there's all these different names for this one animal, it makes you go, maybe there was a thing like that at one point in time. And then there's so many fucking sightings of these things. And that makes you go, maybe, well, what the fuck would it be? You know, how could there be an ape that no one's ever heard of? Then you find out that it's not an ape that no one's ever heard of. There actually was an 8-foot-tall, erect, giant ape called Gigantopithecus that actually lived in Asia, and lived in Asia as recently as 100,000 years ago. And they think that this thing may have come down the Bering Strait along with Native Americans, rather. When people first came to America, 10,000 years ago, half of North America was under a mile-high sheet of ice. So there was a connection actually between us and Russia and Asia, and animals would come across that connection, the Bering Strait, and that's how people supposedly got here. And they think that it's very possible that at one point in time, this now extinct animal that they know exists made that trip as well.
This animal, they say it definitely exists. It wasn't just like a
exists.
really tall person? Or?
No, it's called Gigantopithecus. They have they found this thing because they found an extraordinarily large tooth in one of these Chinese markets somewhere. And it was a tooth that they knew was a primate tooth, but it was so large they couldn't believe that it was a human's. And so they tried to figure out what it was, early man, what the fuck it was. And then they found some other bones, and then eventually discovered that there was an actual animal called Gigantopithecus.
So what about the argument that you don't find bones or
you don't find bears either, man?
Ever.
You don't find dead bears.
Who eats the bones?
If there's a small population of them, and one of them died, things that die, there's a time-lapse video of Africa, which is obviously much more predatory than the Pacific Northwest. But in this time-lapse video of Africa, an elephant dies, and these hyenas start tearing this elephant apart, and even some lions actually scavenged a little bit. The thing's gone in 3 days. In 72 hours, it's gone. There's nothing. Nothing exists. And it's a fucking elephant.
Who's eating the bones?
Everything. They're all just chewing everything up. They all just take things away. The hyenas can smash bones. Hyenas, they have like some of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom. And the reason why is because they're scavengers. They smash bones and, you know, bite off chunks of meat from the bones. Hyenas are just ruthless cunts. They're the fucking total cunts of the animal kingdom. They're just mean, vicious, fucking horrible animals that screech and laugh. And the females are larger than the males. The reason being is because the males are so evil, they eat their babies all the time. So to keep the males from eating the babies, the females have to be larger than the males. And the females have a fake dick. They have a giant faux penis. And they mount the males and dominate them with this fake dick. It's a giant, like, arm hanging from between their legs. It's the creepiest shit you've ever seen. This giant female who's bigger than the male humps the male and dominates him. It's a matriarchal society.
I want a fake dick.
you got a real one, though, Brian.
I want two.
If you look up Gigantopithecus, though, they have skulls of
That's
this
interesting.
thing.
I didn't even know about that. I thought it was just like a caveman.
You know, they don't have a full skull, you know, but they have enough that they piece together what it would look like. You know, they have bones and various, you know, parts of jaws and
Why
stuff
no
like
video?
that.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore. They probably don't exist anymore. But they probably did exist, like maybe even just a few hundred years ago, and they probably died off. Or there might be a few of them out there. It's really possible. The thing, if you went to Spokane, you know that as you fly over that Pacific Northwest, it really occurs to you how fucking dense that shit is. There is so much forest up there. It's hard for you to wrap your head around. It's hard for you to wrap your head around over an hour of flying through the air, and it's still forest. And that's what it is up there. I mean, it's some dense shit. So if you think that they've absolutely done a survey and an account of everything that lives in that forest, you're crazy. There's no way they have. They just killed a fucking jaguar, or a panther, rather, in Connecticut. They thought that there was no panthers on the East Coast for a long time. I think the last one, I believe they killed in New Hampshire in like the 1800s. You know, when the settlers first came to the East Coast, they eradicated most of the mountain lions. But they just killed one in Connecticut, a 140-pounder. And they saw it. There was a spotting of one in New York, 20 miles away from that. Could have been the same panther because they're known to travel like 100 miles in a day sometimes. So it could have been the same panther that went 20 miles away. But they don't know where this thing came from. It could have been a pet. It could have been a pet. But it also could have been something that was living in the fucking woods. Yeah. It's really possible. They did used to exist. And they're so hard to find, man. You know, I saw one when I lived in Colorado, but, you know, it's fairly rare to see one. You know, I've talked to people who lived in Colorado for years and never saw one. But there's plenty of people that have. But they've got a documented population of thousands of mountain lions up there. You know, it's not like they're scarce. They're just kind of crafty. They're crafty animals. And that's way more populated than the Pacific Northwest. You know, if you're living in a place like you know, Spokane or any of those areas where they have those Sasquatch sightings, it's always like Northern California. It's always like the rainforest, man. There's some fucking sounds that these guys have recorded, and it could be hoaxes, but people who have studied these sounds, like primatologists have studied these sounds, they said they're primate in nature. You know, they don't know what the fuck it is, but these guys are camping out in the woods and they hear these screams and these screeches in the night. Who knows? The thing that has me curious is that there's an actual animal. And there's pictures of this thing. Look at this. This is Gigantopithecus. Oh, wow. I mean, look at it. It's a goddamn Bigfoot, man. I mean, the real animal is a Bigfoot. Yeah. And it's an animal that absolutely existed.
That the hoax was based off of, probably.
It could be. It could be, man. It could be. It could very well be a hoax, for sure. Or it could be there's a big fucking ape out there.
What would you bet money on
if it did exist, bro? Here's the thing. If that fucking thing existed, it would be in a cage right next to the gorilla at the zoo, and nobody would give a fuck. It's because it's a mystery that's so intoxicating to people. We have this weird thing where we want things that are secret. We want things that we don't know yet. Oh, I don't know. Is it real? Is it real? And we want to uncover these fucking secrets, this deep desire to do that more than to accumulate knowledge. Like, people have a much stronger desire to find secrets like ghosts or something retarded like that. Like, who the fuck cares? Ghosts have never killed anybody. You know, you don't get anything from ghosts. You know, you can't record them on film. Everybody that sees them, they all sound like they're full of shit. You know, you really believe in ghosts, man? You're gonna dedicate your time to ghosts?
Seriously.
But what I was gonna say is, when there's all this shit out there that is real and is fascinating, Some incredible shit that they're discovering. You know, they believe that there may be small black holes traveling through our galaxy and that can pass right through the sun. They can go through the sun, and we wouldn't even notice it. We would see a little blip out there, and they would just pass right through the sun. They know that there's a fucking RV-sized asteroid that just whizzed by our planet just the other day. Just yesterday, I think it was. Like, really close, between us and the moon. It went fucking flying by in the same orbit, the same place as satellites are. That's how close it was. It's RV-sized. I mean, you know, that's pretty small as far as asteroids go. But if it hit a city or something like that,
Yeah, but that would have gone through our whatever shit.
atmosphere,
And burned out.
Maybe, depends on what it's made out of. They don't all burn out. The really scary ones are the ones that are made out of iron.
Yeah.
You know, there's some that are made. I mean, comets. When you see the trail of a comet, that's because it's mostly ice. You know, that's water. There's so much fucking water in comets that trail is actually the water vapor like coming off this giant fucking hunk of ice. Those are not nearly as terrifying as the ones that are all iron. You know, the ones that are all water and all sorts of other shit. You know, as they're getting close, a lot of it's going to go away. But, you know, even when it blows up in the atmosphere, even when it erodes in the atmosphere, sometimes it still produces insane damage, man. Like there's an area of the Soviet Union that was hit by a meteor in, I think it was the turn of the century, and it's called Tunguska. You know, that's the area. And there's photos of just flattened miles and miles of trees. I mean, it just is fucked. Like they got hit by a nuclear bomb, man. And there was no actual asteroid. By the time it got to Earth, it had been eaten up by the atmosphere. Those fucking things are terrifying, man.
I want to know if a ghost kills a ghost, then you die and you're on the same level as the ghost. Can you then kill that ghost and he goes into another ghost level?
You mean if a ghost kills a person, you become a ghost? Can you kick that ghost's ass for killing you?
Yeah, and then you kill the ghost in Ghost World.
You can't kill ghosts, though.
Yeah, but
Has a ghost ever died in a movie? That's the thing about ghosts that's so scary. Yeah. You can, like, get rid of them if you have a good priest who loves his mother. But if you don't have that, the fuck, man? You can't kill him.
You have to be able to kill a ghost in a ghost level, because then there has to be a third ghost thing.
Bullets go right through him, dude.
Yeah, you can't kill him, bro.
That ghost level would be really crowded then.
The thing about ghosts is that they have to trick you into dying. You have to like get scared and fall down flights of stairs and shit. You have to get scared and back up into an open elevator shaft. That's how ghosts kill you. They can't really do shit. They're just bluffers.
You know what's funny is Ghost Hunters is a real TV show.
One. There's like a bunch of them.
Is there more than one?
Dude, there's a ton of ghost shows. There's a ton of ghost shows, and they're all exactly the same. It's all three stupid white people, and occasionally there's a black guy with glasses, and they're in a basement, and they have night vision on, and then they go, "Did you hear that?" Shh, 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 shh. And then they cut the commercial.
And then they play music. I'm like, why are you playing music? Cut the fucking music out. And then they edit.
There's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
That's the thing about a ghost. There's nothing to see here. You can fucking look all day. The most you have is like some weird image, you know, a whispery image. And again, it's only interesting because it's unknown. It's only interesting because people think there might be a ghost might be real. It's a secret thing. It might be real.
How crazy is? I mean, it all depends on like what you define as a ghost. You know, something that isn't in this plane or whatever. But you know, when you talk science, the smartest motherfuckers that have ever lived were the Nazi scientists. They invented missiles that were so far ahead of everyone else in science and technology.
Das ist gut.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like when they went down, Russians raced in and took half their scientists. The Americans took the other scientists.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know that our space program is based entirely on Nazi science.
They were the smartest motherfuckers.
Yeah, Werner von Braun.
And they were down. I mean, according to Ancient Aliens, I don't know if... according to Ancient Aliens...
That is maybe the worst reference you could ever say. It's like, according to Wikipedia, you are a fucking Skull and Bones member. Yeah. I'm very excited about it. No, I am being nice. He's a nice guy. I like the guy.
Well, you just said that's the worst.
You can't, because it's a show. It's an entertainment show. I mean, he talks about Atlantis maybe being a spaceship that flew off in the sky.
Of course
maybe it's a rabbit and it ate a giant magical carrot and that created the end of the Atlantean Empire.
The Nazis, though?
Yes, I did. It was fascinating. It was fascinating the actual actual facts of what the Nazis were into. And a lot of what they were into is like ancient Hindu scriptures, like the Vimanas. They studied all these, Vimanas were like these flying things in ancient Hindu scriptures that from thousands and thousands of years ago, these flying ships that people have always tried to interpret. Like, what the fuck did they mean by this? And the Nazi scientists were fascinated by all that stuff. They were very much into the occult and very much into, the idea of ancient knowledge. And you could throw that aside and say they were silly if it wasn't for the incredible technological capabilities that they had back then. BMW, they made engines for Nazis, man. I mean, Volkswagen, that's the car for the people. There was so much. They made incredible rockets. Their rocketry was so far ahead of anything in the rest of the world. They were the innovators when it comes to the field of rocketry and space travel.
How about Werner von Braun?
Yeah.
Werner von Braun and Hermann Oberth are both quoted as saying all that technology came from help from beings from another solar system. That they were channeling. They were channeling information.
Yeah.
To build UFOs. They built 4 different models of UFOs, and they're saying they were getting the information, anti-gravity information, by the Vril Society, which Hitler was a part of, and they were running the Nazis, the Vril Society, and it was all based on channeling from another solar system. There were this chick, I forget her name, Maria Ostich, was the head medium, and she was channeling ancient Sumerian text. And then they'd bring in a dude who can transcribe it. She had no idea what she was writing. It was an ancient Sumerian text. And it was instructions on how to build UFOs. They built 4 of them. It's on record. Hanabu 1, Hanabu 2, Hanabu 3. They built UFOs. And they're saying...
I mean, they built spaceships.
They built UFOs.
Well, UFOs are unidentified.
Yeah, they built anti-gravity. So a lot of the sightings in the 40s and 50s and probably even to today are all based, or not all, but I'm sure a lot of them were German UFOs.
Right, but when they say that they built something that's anti-gravity, that can't really be proven because we can't do anti-gravity today.
Right.
So because we can't do anti-gravity, we don't have a working model that they actually had that we could fly around in. A lot of that is speculation. But we do know that they were coming up with some weird shaped aircrafts. I mean, there's some photos of them with these saucer looking Nazi ships, like actual undisputable photos.
But they didn't fly.
Who knows?
I can make a spaceship.
Well,
who knows if they flew or not? I don't know. Do you know that they didn't fly?
No,
sure?
but I'm not saying they did fly. I mean, back then, I
they
really
had 4
doubt.
models. They had 4 models.
Well, they had planes, man. I mean, they could make one of those fucking things fly, which is like just a jet engine.
Right.
I don't know if it would. Obviously, if it would be any good. I mean, it might suck. Maybe that's why they stopped using it. There's a funny picture online of Adolf Hitler with an alien.
I think he's just misunderstood.
Adolf Hitler, dude. Don't even say shit like that on my podcast, bitch.
Didn't
you pay attention
talking
to
about Charlie
what happened to fucking Tracy Morgan?
I was talking about Charlie Chaplin.
There's all these weird photos of these things that the Nazis built, man. I don't know how many of these photos are hoaxes and how many of them are legit, but it's pretty fascinating, man.
It's, to me, the most fascinating part is that they were using mediums to channel aliens from another
Right,
solar
but how do
system.
we know that that's true? Is that an ancient aliens thing?
And you could
It was probably the U.S. government. Yes.
Type in the Vril
What are you
Society.
doing?
What am I looking for? The what
the
society?
Vril Society.
Spell that?
VRIL.
Society.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if maybe they were just really dumb. And it's like, we're talking to aliens, but they were really talking to our government, and we're like, oh yeah.
Well,
we're
you
from
can
outer space.
poo-poo all you want the idea of secret societies, but the bottom line is almost every single fucking president has been a part of one of those fucking things in high school or in college.
Skull
rather.
Look at the Vril
Yeah, that
Society.
skull and bones shit is so disturbing that these people get together in college and decide to run shit based on this bond that they make when they're in college. But it completely makes sense if you pay attention to how people operate, man. Especially if you could, the best way to keep something secret, really keep something secret, is to have a bunch of people who belong to some exclusive group and they won't rat anything out. It's like a group of buddies who will talk about man law. Like you don't say shit about nothing. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. This is that on a huge level. Skull and Bones is basically what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas on the biggest level possible. Raping the world, causing wars, doing all this crazy shit, and doing it under this premise of we're all a part of this group that agrees to be running the world in secret.
What happens in Iraq stays in Iraq. Richard Nixon, He sounded like a smart guy, but he sounded paranoid and insincere in everything he said.
Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit. He was a terrible person.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys that got away with shit back in the time where you could get away with anything. You know, the days before they killed Kennedy, till Nixon's era, and you go deep into Reagan, the people were getting away with all kinds of crazy shit that you can never get away with now. And they got away with a lot of dirty fucking politics back then too. What Nixon did was totally standard stuff. What he got impeached for at Watergate was something they all did, man. We've been doing that to the Russians forever. I have a buddy, I guess we shouldn't say his name, who used to work for the U.S. Embassy in Russia. And he would find all these, it was like standard. They would find all these audio detection devices all over the place, or audio recording devices.
Oh, that's crazy.
Where the Russians were listening into them.
Wow.
They found these Russians, things that they made were so complicated that they operated on the swaying of the building, that's what powered them. The swaying of the building back and forth actually charged them up and powered them.
Wow.
So they had no external source of power. They were like, this was so complicated. He's like, when they found that stuff, he's like, we didn't even know this shit existed. So that's been standard. People have been spying on people and listening into people. That's just what they do. Every fucking politician, every president did it. You don't think Kennedy did it? Everybody likes to look at Kennedy like he's this rosy, beautiful figure from our liberal back, or liberal past. But Kennedy's family was all fucking moonshine runners. They made all their money selling illegal booze. And there was all sorts of people that were just like the Tea Party people are today, trying to get rid of Obama and going crazy about the democratically elected president, the Democrat president, rather. They were doing the same thing for Kennedy. They were wanted for treason. They'd make posters with Kennedy's face on it. Nobody likes to think about that shit because it happened so long ago.
And what about the fact that he was, out of all the presidents that have ever existed, he's the one who had the worst reputation as far as womanizing?
Oh, yeah. Dude, if they found out what he was doing today, he was probably just straight Clinton and bitches.
Clinton. More than Clinton.
You think he was?
Oh yeah.
I shouldn't say Clinton in, because what a Clinton move is, you get a girl alone, you just whip your cock out.
Yeah.
And then they scream and fucking run away from you and freak out and you go to jail. That's a Clinton move.
Right.
He's the only president that probably rocked it that way.
Yeah. He's probably Obama in that shit.
You know what they
tearing
should
that
do?
shit up.
Obama's probably.
You know
not
what they
doing
should do? A
anything.
president should be smart. If they're gonna fuck around with these interns, offer them and their family a spot in the underground cities when shit goes down. They ain't gonna say shit.
Eddie Brown was a firm believer in the underground cities.
They're building them. It's not like that much of a secret.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen underground bunkers and bases and shit like that. But you're a believer in that shit. Like you want to go there if the shit goes down.
I'm trying to teach jujitsu to CIA agents to hook me up. Hook me up. Give me a couple VIP passes.
Dude, the moment the first atomic bomb blows or the first asteroid hits, I want to be under that thing. I want to be at the epicenter. Wherever that bomb goes off, I want to be at the part where all they find of you is a shadow. That's what I want to be. I want to be right there.
You don't want to live in the
Fuck that.
Mad Max
I'm not
times?
down for some Mad Max shit. I don't want to be killing people
Imagine
with
being
axes
sick
and stuff.
and not having hospitals to
what
go
happens-
to.
what happens-
Fuck that.
Yeah, that's gonna definitely suck.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
don't-
But if the
man,
bomb drops in
this is what's
New
gonna-
Mexico and we're feeling the fallout here, but you're still alive, what do? Like blow your head up?
No. Look, I'm gonna follow my human instincts and keep on keeping on. But if I had to choose between living a life of fucking cancer and radiation and zombies,
Yeah.
or getting hit in the head by a meteor,
Yeah.
I'll take getting hit in the head by a meteor.
What's your take on the zombie situation?
It's funny how many fucking shows and movies and
No,
things.
there's people that believe they're real. There's
Well,
radio shows
sure.
where they're talking about preparing against zombies.
Well, yeah. I mean, the reason why is because we know about so many parasitic animals in the animal kingdom that change the host and turn the host into something that it's not. We know of there's a aquatic worm that we've talked about before. Take a drink if you're playing the podcast drinking game. We've talked about it before. Reprograms a grasshopper's brain. This aquatic worm, it infests the grasshopper, reprograms its brain, and then convinces the grasshopper to drown. Convinces it to jump in the water and drown so that it can be born. And it busts out of this thing's body cavity. It makes it commit suicide. So we know that there's all sorts of parasites that change the host and get the host to do their bidding. And we also know about rabies. We know that, dogs get rabies. That's a wrap, son. They're dead. You got to kill that dog. They don't even cure them. You can't cure a dog from rabies. You got to kill that fucking thing. And if you get rabies, you could die too. So rabies will turn a dog into a vicious fucking animal, like your own pet. I had a dog that had distemper once, and it tried to bite me, man. A Doberman Pinscher snapping at me. I was like 12 years old. I was stuck in my living room with this dog that was sick. And I realized, like, halfway through, like, looking at this dog's eyes, there's something wrong here. I'm like, this thing is really going to get me. This is my dog. My dog's going to kill me. Wow. I really thought it was going to kill me. We had to get the dog put down. It was scary shit.
People that are dead, they're buried, and then they crawl out of the dirt.
Those people are retarded. That's not going to happen.
That's not a zombie like
but
that.
But what could happen is, look, there's all these people that are getting their heads chopped off and frozen. You know about all that? Cryogenics? You know about all that shit?
Yes, I've heard about it.
Well, there's people that are getting their whole bodies frozen as well, like Walt Disney did, apparently. They freeze your whole body, and so that one day they can bring you back.
I believe
and then
that.
Regenerate your body tissue.
I believe it.
Well, that might be when zombies happen, because
Yeah.
maybe your soul's long gone, and all of a sudden you just got this tissue with no consciousness that needs food all the time and eats anything in front of it, and just grab a purse and just start eating you.